Disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed on Nerdy Talk do not reflect those of Anime Herald. Due to strong language, listener discretion is advised. Now sit back and enjoy the show. Good evening, everyone. It's time for Nerdy Talk. I'm Mike Ferreira. I'm joined by Matt Brown and Anthony Simpson. Say hello, everybody.
Hi.
Hello.
And it's been a couple weeks since we last talked, so what are you guys watching?
What are we not watching? Actually, that's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, that would be. Well, I have quite a bit on. Well, I guess I'll go here. I have quite a bit I'm watching in terms of stuff from the new season. I'm watching Aldino Zero, Barakamon, which I could say right now is probably my favorite of one of my two favorites of the season. Sava Gebu, which I'm enjoying. Space 82, Sword Art Online 2, Tokyo ESP, which I'm just going to kind of get this in now. That is the perfect show for Toonami. So if you're listening out there, people run Toonami, try to get that show in the future. It's perfect for the Toonami block. Tokyo Ghoul, and my second favorite is Residence in Terror. I'm also watching the Mobile Suit Gundam Unicorns OVAs. I decided to start watching them, and I've only gotten through the first episode, but I'm really liking it a lot. I try to hope to finish it here in the future before the month's over. So, what about you guys? What are you watching?
Well, I guess I'll go next. I've been watching the regular stuff in my lineup, which is Rail Wars, Kendaichi, Akame ga Kill, pretty much everything we discussed previously, but I've also added a couple of older backlog shows and stuff that I've been watching for a review. In particular, I've been watching Cat's Eye, Codebreaker, and Cardcaptor Sakura, as well as Oh My Goddess. Cat's Eye is just wonderful. It's basically Lupin the Third meets City Hunter, and it is exactly as awesome as it sounds. I enjoyed every minute of that one. Codebreaker, only watched the first episode, but it's already on my shit list because anything that starts off with the dog being kicked around like a soccer ball for 5 minutes is something that I already looked down on. If you don't like that, come at me, bro. Yeah, just come at me, bro.
You do cardio?
I know Kung Fu.
Do you have Kung Fu grip, Mike, like G.I. Joe does?
I do not. My only downfall.
You're gonna have to work on that.
Yes, I am.
So I heard you mention the Cardcaptor Sakura Blu-rays.
Yep.
I have to ask, how do they look?
Oh, they are beautiful. The remaster is fantastic. Rich colors, really clean transfer. No visible artifacts, or for an old show, it looks like something that could have been done 6 months ago. So I am very happy with that. The only complaint I had was something more due to the fact that this is an incredibly old show. The Japanese audio was just linear 2.0, so just stereo audio. But for a show this age, I'm definitely willing to give it a pass. The presentation was fantastic. The chipboard box looked great. The book is just wonderful, and overall, it's just a really solid package.
And what was the other show you said you were reviewing or watching for review?
I believe it was Codebreaker.
No, was that for...
Oh my goddess. I'm just kind of rewatching that just because, well, I enjoy it. It's a classic. It's definitely one of my favorites.
Still torn up over the manga ending.
Yes, but considering it ran for 25 years, it's one of those things where it's like, this thing's almost as long as I've been on this planet, so it was about time. There's only so far you can go with that.
Yeah, given the show was about the three Valkyries, or the three, what is it called?
Gus is a time.
Fates, the three fates. It could have gone on forever, literally.
True. Still, I mean, I'm kind of hoping we see some more animation come of it in the near future, but I definitely won't hold my breath. We already got a 52 episode TV series and several VAs, so I'm kind of happy with that. If they even just decide to stop it at that.
Needs more Adventures of the Mini Goddess.
Yes. Yes, it does. Just, if only so we can have the absurdities of, say, or having a rat get engaged to a lighter. Yeah, it's as weird as it sounds.
Yeah, that show was special.
A certain kind of special.
And so funny.
Mm.
It wasn't like You're Under Arrest mini special is funny, but it was funny.
Well, You're Under Arrest mini specials were something incredibly unique in their own right, because it's something where it's like it's hard to even describe some of the stuff that came out of the mini specials there. Anyway, how about you, Matt?
I've been watching a ton of shit, and I actually took down a lot of notes, but I don't feel like saying this many things, so I'll just do a rundown. I've been watching the second season of Sword Art Online, and it's I would say I mostly like it so far, although the latest episode kind of took a dip. Like the sister Sugu had a scene, and like just her being there made me want to stab someone.
Yeah, say don't spoil it because I haven't seen it yet.
Because it gave me bad memories of the previous episodes before this show.
Which I will state for the record, I actually did like those episodes. I didn't hate hate the originals SAO like a lot of people did.
I liked the first half of the original SAO. Most of it, anyway. The whole Yui thing was weird, but passable. Anyway, so yeah, I would say the action's good. Has a great theme song. Really like it. So SAO2 is still something I want to keep watching, and I think the next episode's going to get back to the action. And I've been watching Aldnoah Zero. I could say a million things about this show, and all of them good. I'm really enjoying it. What's interesting to me is that this was Nitro Plus is involved in this, and they normally make visual novels, but this show is not based on a visual novel. It's an original work. So it's definitely interesting, but good action, interesting mechs, and it's like an underdog story, which I really enjoy. Like the Earthlings are, it's like a Mars versus Earth thing, and the Earthlings are vastly outgunned, and there's like this ordinary student who keeps finding ways to beat these impossible enemies just from logic. So it's pretty cool. What else? Oh, Rail Wars. I dropped it. I just had enough. Like,
Yeah.
The last episode I watched was like, it was all about, pretty much the whole show to me up to this point has been about boobs and awkwardness, and I didn't see that changing, and I got bored really fast from that.
Well, I'm on the fence on dropping that myself, because the last episode I saw, not this week's, but previous week's, it was awful. Like, just plain terrible the entire way through. So it's like, it doesn't give me much hope concerning the show has been average at best. It might be that point where it starts its downward slide.
Yeah, it's like the episode was supposed to be a comedy, right?
Yeah,
it was just like they had a day off, and like all of the gags were about this girl's clothes coming off bit by bit. And it's really.
I mean, half the time I just say it's like, really, you're really gonna go there? This is just stupid. like borderline mittens pinned to your jacket all year round. Stupid.
Yeah, it's not creepy. I don't think it's a
No.
terrible show. I just think it's kind of dumb, and
Yeah.
I've outgrown that sort of thing, I would say.
Mm.
Anyway,
Yeah, I dropped out after the first episode because I thought it was fucking terrible, but and it seems like I was right.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it was never a good show. It was average at best,
yeah,
but
it's kind of sort of a harem, but not really.
kind of, sort of, but not quite. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really a messy show, and when you look at it from a top level, because it's trying to be part this, part this, part this, part this, but there's nothing to really tie those things together. So it's really just the sum of a huge stack of freakish Frankenstein parts.
Indeed.
All right, the thing that really bugs me though is like there are some points of it that really are quite interesting or very well done, and then the very next scene, down the pooper it goes. It kills me how quickly they can kill any potential they manage to build. I don't know if it's sad or if it's annoying or some combination of the two. But yeah.
It's junior writers with no training, probably.
Well, more than likely.
Or a junior director.
Mm.
That's probably more likely. All right, so Akame got killed. I've been watching still. They've gotten through the bonding with the main character's phase. Thank God. And this latest episode, some real stuff happens, and I would say the action's been good in the show all the way through so far. And I'm glad it's gotten past the boring parts, and hopefully it stays that way.
Thank God. That was really dragging the show back.
Yep.
Like someone was just cringeworthy.
Yeah, it's just it's like every show of this type does this, and it's very boring.
Especially since we've seen it how many billion times already.
Yeah. Well, they just do it too fast, Like,
yeah,
it's like, okay, we've set the stage, and everybody likes the pilot, fantastic. Now let's totally take a break for 5 or 6 episodes and just introduce everybody and everything about them, because people will like that.
And it's always that really neat, clean split too. It's pretty much a given for certain shows. You can just throw out this first few episodes, and while you'll miss some of the background stuff, you'll also miss all the boring shit too.
Pretty much. This one's kind of an oddball. I started watching Nobunaga Concerto for no particular reason. It's just I was bored and I picked something, and I actually don't hate it, and that's a bit of a surprise. It's like it's this super low budget show where a character, a guy named Saburo, he somehow winds up in the Warring States period, like goes back in time, and he has the unfortunate quality that he looks just like Nobunaga Oda, who happens to be ill, and Nobunaga asks this kid to like stand in for him, basically, so he can recover or something. So it's weird. It's like he's living the life of Nobunaga while being somebody else. And in one episode, we find out that he's not the only person who's traveled back there from some other time. So it's a little bit interesting in that respect. But I don't know. It's like dialogue's passable. It's not boring or anything. And it's a period piece, so that stuff's always a little bit interesting to me. That's pretty much all I have to say about that. And I've been watching a whole bunch of other shit that I would call this routine, sort of. I don't know. It seems like there's a handful of shows that I just watch once a year, no matter what. And it was Bubblegum Crisis, which I always love. The Read or Die TV series because it was on Crunchyroll and convenient. Still love that. the main characters are infectious. And Crest of the Stars and Banner of the Stars and Rurouni Kenshin, also because it's on Crunchyroll. So I've been watching quite a lot of shit. And finished up Makaku City. I might talk about that in more detail next time. I don't know. But I liked it.
And anyone that has not seen Crest of the Stars or Banner of the Stars, definitely go out, watch it. It is one of the best pieces of sci-fi I've ever seen.
Yeah, I've yet to see it myself.
Yeah.
Watch it. It is one of the best pieces of sci-fi I've ever seen. It's kind of a shame we never...
It's like this whole sci-fi universe. Kind of like if you think about Isaac Asimov's Foundation series. I wouldn't say it's as good as Foundation, but it's kind of... it's like that, except the focus is on the same two characters the whole time. But like they have all these little side stories that they tell while the thing is going on, of like past and present events and different places and stuff.
Yeah, it's a shame we never got that third OVA though.
Yeah, I could understand. I'm thinking the assumption was it wouldn't sell, and I can understand that.
Yeah, sure.
There's probably just not enough fans of the show here, but it is unfortunate.
It really is. It is a marvelous series. I can't say enough nice things about it.
And it's also unfortunate that they haven't made more, because there were 2, I want to say, more books in the Banner series.
Yup, and isn't he working on one more at the moment too? I think Morioka might be working on one more.
I'm not really sure. I don't keep up with what he's doing because they never translate his books. Like they translated the first, I think Tokyo Pop did this, the first 3 Crest of the Stars books, and the translation was god awful, and they probably didn't sell very well at all.
Yeah, to be fair though, the entire Tokyo Pop novel thing was a disaster to begin with. I mean, they butchered what they had, which is kind of a shame.
Yeah, it was definitely at the tail end of their downward spiral, where which kind of, I want to say it kind of started with Initial D when they just willy-nilly decided to start changing things.
Oh yeah, after the whole 100% authentic label.
But anyway, this episode is not about Tokyo Pop.
No, that's another story for another day. We'll see if we can get Stu Levy on the show sometime.
And good luck with that.
Yeah, I know.
Could probably get his lawyer on if we keep talking about him.
Is he even aware of our existence?
Probably not.
Yeah, I think we're good then.
Yeah, we're fine. Moving on. A couple weeks ago, Otakon hit. I'm not sure if anyone's heard of it. It's this little convention over in Baltimore. Soon to be moving to DC. They get a few people, a few tens of thousands. So, all right, yeah, I can't keep this straight up anymore. It's one of the biggest conventions in the country, and the industry tends to pull out some of their biggest guns because this is like their last big chance before the end of con season proper. So, we had some interesting stuff come out this time around, and I kind of want to get your thoughts on, say, like what announcements you found most interesting or most noteworthy.
Well, for me, there was actually a couple interesting things that came out of this one, for me, at least from Funimation's panel, which that's what I was interested in, because to see what they picked up. The big ones for me was, there was definitely some shows that they had on streaming that they got home release rights for, like such as Defrag, Blaze Blue After Memory, which I didn't see, Riddle's Story of the Devil, which I didn't care for. Freezing Vibration, I'll get over that, was okay. Didn't see Unbreakable Machine Doll. Not really surprised they got more Black Butler OVA. I mean, it's Black Butler, and it'll sell well for them. I was surprised though that they got the Strike Witches movie, because I'd actually seen that, and that's a really good film. I'd seen it a couple of years ago, and it was just looks fucking fantastic, and it's just so glorious. It was just so good. And, Steins Gate movie, that wasn't a surprise. I mean,
nah,
because Steins Gate did pretty well for them.
To be honest, I wasn't surprised by Strike Witches either, because, I mean, this is the company that gave us the the catchphrase "the war on pants." So
Yeah, which I do like that phrase myself, but that's not we're not going to get into any more of that. Although some people were concerned because the first two seasons went to save, and then they're like, "Well, it must not sold well." I'm like, "Well, save editions aren't necessarily for stuff that didn't sell well. It might be for stuff that's the end of the license time." And they've had Strike Witches for about 5 years now, 4 or 5 years.
They've had
at
a
least
while.
the first season, so it's about the end of the license time. And Steins Gate movie that'll sell because again, Steins Gate did good for them. The ones that caught me off guard though, was them getting Haruhi and Lucky Star.
Whoop whoop.
Those completely came out of left field for me because
didn't they also get a Haruhi-chan and Nyorun Churyu-san?
yes.
Yadan.
I just kind of was grouping things together.
Smoke
Here
a
to make it a little.
cheese.
I was just kind of simplifying it a bit. I didn't think either of them would get picked up by Funimation. I thought they at least would go to Sentai because Lucky Star seems more like a Sentai show, not something Funimation would get. Haruhi, well, I mean that's still popular. It's still a good show. I mean, I'm one of the few people who didn't hate Endless Eight. I was surprised that they didn't get the movie. Although that I think might be because Bandai kind of got it towards the end of their lifespan and the contracts might not be up yet for that.
Yeah, they might still be negotiating for it.
Yeah. One thing that I am going to be concerned about with Lucky Star is that I have the Bandai singles.
Mm-hmm.
Is that Lucky Star is a fairly reference-heavy show, and that the Bandai releases the singles, not the Anime Legends didn't come with it for some reason. I don't know why. I guess maybe they're trying to cheapen out.
Money.
But the singles all had liner notes, not on this stuff, but like paper liner notes for all the references. And I'm kind of curious if Funimation is going to have that like either as an on disc extra or if they're going to print out some that has all those references, because without it, I mean, you're not going to get a lot of the references because not all of it's anime. Some is product stuff from the 70s or 80s. And I mean, some of the references are pretty easy to spot if you watched a lot of anime, but some aren't. And again, if they don't get that, that's kind of, I don't want to say defeating the purpose, but it's not going to be a complete product if they don't get the liner notes. But again, we're going to have to wait to see how that plays out.
I mean, I don't know. I don't necessarily disagree with you, but on the other hand, I found a lot of I obviously didn't get probably a good number of the references in Lucky Star, and some of the stuff I found funny anyway. They did a really good job of like pointing out what makes those like they didn't just drop inside references for no reason. Like they really got at the heart of what made those things popular. And like I'm thinking of the Marimite reference. Like I never saw that show, but I found that hilarious.
Oh yeah, that was great. But for every one of those, like the Marimite, there's something like, say, the Timote shampoo commercial reference, which, while it was kind of amusing, it's one of those things where most people, unless they know what the heck Timote is or how that commercial worked out, they'd be saying like, "What the heck is going on?" Like,
right, and that's where I was getting about having the liner notes, because stuff like that nobody's going to get again unless if you've seen it already, like I have.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm definitely in agreement with you there. I mean, it would be nice to have. It wouldn't be a deal breaker, but it would definitely be nice to have.
Well, in some shows they've gotten, which some of it, like some of their license rescues they got from ADV didn't have them, but that's also because a lot of them were like ADV notes, like that we saw with Pony Pony Dash and Excel World, where they didn't have those. Although again, that was another one where, at least with the latter, not the former so much, with some of the jokes you obviously didn't need. You didn't need to know what the reference was. Like I didn't need to have a thing tell me I knew, okay, this thing was a reference to the Karate Kid, or a Chuck Norris reference, or an Indiana Jones reference.
Right.
But that was different because, again, ADV notes, not, Funimation notes.
Right.
So I'm kind of curious to how they're going to release that. If they're going to have some type of like extras explaining some of the references or not.
Uh,
We also did get, well, the other one I thought was interesting that we got was the Cowboy Bebop announcement that we got with the 4 different releases they're doing.
and two of them are like store exclusives, one to Amazon, one to Funimation.com.
Right, and we got yesterday, well, Friday as of this recording, we got the Amazon exclusive version. We got a preview of that, which has, I think, like 2 art books, I think.
I believe so. We'll put a link in the show notes to that.
Right. And then, well, I don't know when Funimation's store exclusive is going to come out. And then I know they said they're going to release on disc extras in a later time. The other thing I want to talk about from them is we did get some cast announcements. We got some more cast for this Certain Magical Index Part 2, Fairy Tale, which I don't watch. The one that is sort of causing a shitstorm, though, is the Ghost in the Shell Arise Borders 1 and 2 dub cast. That's sort of causing causing somewhat of a shitstorm with the fan base. Because, for those that don't know, Funimation basically got a whole new cast. Did they get anybody back from the original dub for that?
I don't think they did. I could be wrong now. We'll have...
But it caused some concerns because they got a whole new cast, and everyone was like, "Well, they didn't get the original cast back." And well, in the Japanese, they didn't even get they didn't get the original cast back from any of the other ones. They had a whole brand new dub or no cast in Japan,
Right?
So
it's
new one, and it's a younger. The characters are younger in Arise than they are in like the movie or the TV series.
Not only that, but this was and still is being pitched as a full reboot. So
Right.
I mean, bringing back the old cast for what is essentially a brand new series and franchise is, I mean, while it would make certain fans happy, it kind of goes in the face of the idea of rebooting something because it's still clinging to past conventions.
Either way, if they had gotten exactly the original cast, shitstorm because Ghost in the Shell.
True.
Yeah. I mean, we've already gotten the trailers, and they sound fine. I mean, though again, you can't always tell how stuff's going to be by a trailer. So we'll just have to wait and see how the dub turns out then when they release Borders 1 and 2. I don't think we got a release date for that yet, do we?
I don't remember off the top of my head, unfortunately.
So what about for the rest of you guys? What were you stuff that you were really interested that came out of Otakon?
I can go next. I just have a couple things to say. We actually knew this. I don't know if they announced this at Otakon, but we've known this for a few days that Crunchyroll is streaming Cardcaptor Sakura, which is pretty cool. Although I got the set, so I'll be watching that instead. But still, a lot of people have, even people that have been in the scene for a while, may not have seen that show. So it's definitely a staple. And Cowboy Bebop on Blu-ray. I care if it has a 5.1 audio mix in Japanese. I don't care otherwise. That's pretty much all I have to say about that.
Fair enough. For me, it was mostly 4 items. Number 1 was Haruhi and Lucky Star being rescued by Funimation. I honestly thought we'd see a split there with Lucky Star going to Sentai and Haruhi going to Funimation, just because Haruhi is a huge title and it's one that's still incredibly desirable. Whereas Lucky Star, while it's a strong title, it's a very fun title. It's also much more niche focused. So it seemed like it would be more up Sentai's alley.
Right, that's what I thought too. Because I'm like, that's Lucky Star seems like something Sentai thing. And I saw that, but I'm just like, well, I thought they would have got that.
Yeah, that was my reaction too. It's like, huh.
Well, it was Funimation that got School Rumble, right? And that's very in-jokey.
Yep. Let's see. The other items were Crunchyroll streaming Cardcaptor Sakura. Again, just to parrot what Matt said, it's nice that it's up there. It's great for people to really get exposed to the series because while the DVDs, the Blu-rays are fantastic, having that nice low barrier of entry is a great way to kind of introduce people to the series. It's cute, it's charming, it's really fun. I do recommend it. And my third one is a bit more controversial, a bit more, I guess I should say, annoyed. Aniplex of America announced that they'll be releasing Nisekoi on Blu-ray, which is awesome. But they also announced that it's going to be on singles. The first volume hits with a suggested retail price of $64.95. Now, I mean, it's bad enough that they're going with singles, but the fact that they keep finding ways to bump that price up, it just, as a consumer, it insults me. It pretty much implies that the company expects us to do everything they can to fork out and, that their product is worth more than every other show on the market, which is patently untrue. I mean, it's nice to pretend, it's nice to have to think that, but when the reality hits, this thing's going to just sell to one contingency, and everyone else is going to just sit there, get annoyed, and just find other ways to watch it. I mean, it's up on Crunchyroll. It's probably going to go up on Netflix, so why should I shell out $65? Why should I give you that extra money when I can watch it on methods I'm already paying for, and at the same time, I mean, that $65 can go to a full season of something else.
But you would have the satisfaction of supporting Sony. I have something that I wanted to say that'll sound completely out of left field. Where is Galaxy Angel? I want somebody to rescue that, and if they have, tell me.
That is one I doubt we'll really see a license rescue on for a while, unless the license comes cheap.
Shush, don't come to me with problems.
Because Galaxy Angel, while it's a wonderful series, I mean, I adore it. I have all the animation released in America, so I do adore the series. It's also one with a very limited appeal. I mean, it was basically made for the people that enjoyed stuff like, say, Digicarrot or something like that back in the day. I mean, it's short bursts of concentrated insanity. And unfortunately, it's something that has a very limited market appeal. So, unless the license can come cheaply, I doubt we're really going to see it. I mean, I'm thrilled that we got the entire run here in the U.S. thanks to Bandai Ent, and to a lesser extent Bandai Visual, although I hate them for what they did to Galaxy Angel Rune's release, but that's another story for another day. I mean, that's like same thing with Aniplex, same exact pricing scheme.
Yeah,
so
I was going to say Bandai Visual USA was the road paver for that.
Yep.
The trailblazer. That's the word I was looking for.
Yep. But yeah, it really is a shame on that one.
I want to hear solutions, not problems. Somebody license Galaxy Angel, and I'll buy it.
No, I'm not sure we'll ever see it, but who knows?
Yeah.
I'm gonna kind of interject here a bit. Normally, I usually do defend Aniplex of America because they know what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean,
Most of the time.
Normally I would. I mean, even with Kill la Kill, I could kind of say, well, it's something with a lot of demand, they can get it, but Nisekoi charging almost $70 for 5 episodes, that's a little beyond the pale.
Well, now I was going to say, well, let me finish here. Normally, I do defend them. Even though I really don't buy their products, I defend them because they know what they're doing. They know how to market their stuff to the crowd that desires it. I can't really defend them here with Nisekoi for a couple of reasons. One, and it's not because I didn't watch Nisekoi. Yes, we are getting, you are getting extras with it. But the extras, I mean, it just seems like basically a poster and looks like some kind of
it's like postcards or something like that.
Postcards. I mean, I like my postcards too, and I like posters as well. I don't know though if I'd pay almost $65 for any of that. Now, if they throw more episodes, then if it was say like, okay, 2 sets, 10 and 10, then I'd be like, well, yeah, that'd be a good price. But
yeah,
if the fact that all you're getting is card pen-ups, and now you do come with a box, but I mean, I really can't defend them on this one. I mean, not the fact that because I haven't seen Nisekoi and I really don't have a desire to, but I don't know. I just can't defend them on this one. And plus the fact that too, for those also who don't know, the Japanese version, so some of the Blu-rays have come out we've seen, they made some scene changes, and not just like, oh, well, stuff wasn't completely animated, we'll just touch it up. Like, there was a scene that I showed earlier to Mike and Matt that They went from having a scene where you could see all the background to and the characters to having completely black background, and then the characters be completely hot pink for some reason.
Yeah,
I don't know what the hell that was all about. Maybe it was, I don't know, maybe they were just trolling the fan base or something.
they were trying to make it more artistic, no doubt, but it's one of those things where the original TV ROM was clearly more attractive than what came out in the Blu-ray.
Yeah, and I don't know how this is going to affect the release, because now people know this. It's not like this is kind of, only a couple people know it. I mean, you could search on the internet for Nisekoi Blu-rays and you can see those images. So I don't know how much that's going to go into the people buying it, because obviously once people start getting the release, if it's the TV version or the what the hell are they thinking Blu-ray version.
Mm.
And that might have also too an effect on people buying it, because I don't know how if they do this for the rest, if the rest of the release, the Japanese release, are going to be this way, have them goofy filtering changes. But as that is done throughout, let's say, the rest of the releases, people might not be willing to buy that. They might be like, you know what, I liked it, but you know what, I'm not going to like it now. I'm not going to buy it. A version that clearly seems an inferior version of a show that they, for whatever reason, they changed to be, again, maybe to be more artistic, but that clearly completely changes the scenes that they're in. So people might not be willing to say, you know what, I don't want to spend the money on it. We don't know yet what's going to happen. So maybe it's just maybe being paranoid, or maybe me just being concerned for no reason. I mean, we'll wait and see once it comes out. But yeah, I can't defend Aniplex on this one.
No, I mean, like I said, normally I wouldn't sit there and really talk any guff about Aniplex at all, because they know their market, they know their business model, but it was just the pricing, the presentation. It's just there's a definite mismatch in value versus asking price in this case.
Well,
Well,
I
it's
mean, I'm not
hype,
even sure
right?
how popular the show is either. I mean,
True.
It's
I could see doing something again like they did with Monica Magica, which was smart, because again, it's a very popular series, or even the Fate Stay Night or the Fate Zero franchise, because that's very popular.
Right.
I'm not sure what the popularity is of Nisekoi is over here, at least in the Western fan base. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's very popular. Maybe maybe it isn't. I don't know.
Yeah, there is a cult fan base, but nothing to a gigantic degree to my understanding. I mean, it's not like Madoka Magica, where you see it kind of popping up in just average fan conversation, but
Right.
it does have the diehards.
True. I just thought I'm kind of curious to how it's going to turn out for them. I mean, if it works for them and they do it, then good for them. I mean, I just hope if these single models keep going. My concern is that if it keeps being successful for AOA, if we're going to see the other group, we're going to see like Sentai or Funimation or even like Viz or any of them start reverting back to singles, because I really don't know if that's the market we need to go back to.
I wouldn't expect it.
The
It's
thing
like,
is,
it's like you just said. Aniplex sells to diehards and only diehards. They don't care what anybody else thinks.
Well, we don't know for some of their shows if they're going to do cheaper versions. That's kind of the thing we still don't know yet. I mean,
I wouldn't.
we don't know if
expect
Monica got a cheaper release yet. I mean, that I don't want to just be kind of saying that's all they're aiming for, because if they do put out a cheaper release, then we know that they're a strategy of go after collectors first, everybody else later.
Well, the way I see it is this. Their first releases were several years ago at this point, and we still haven't seen cheaper releases on any of them, so I'm not expecting them. I mean, Aniplex of America sells in two stores. They sell in their own store, and they sell on Right Stuff and sometimes Robert's Anime Corner store. But, I mean, looking at, say, Viz, Funimation, they get their stuff into Walmart, Target, major retailers. So, I mean,
Viz also tends to get Viz tends to get longer shows too, which
exactly
doing in singles is kind of counterproductive now. I mean, I couldn't see anybody trying to say release. I mean, could you imagine Viz trying to put out Sailor Moon, saying 4 or 5 episode Blu-rays?
They wouldn't get it. Well,
No.
I
I
shouldn't
mean,
say
people
that.
will buy it that way,
Yeah,
but I mean, I couldn't imagine anyone dumping a whole shit ton of money, even if it is Sailor Moon.
exactly. If you're going for a broader market, like a wide market, it's beyond counterproductive. So
Yeah.
I'm not too concerned there. I'm more just I just worry we're going to see it get worse for the Aniplex releases.
Well, that's really what
Well,
it is. All of the majors try to sell to as broad a market as they possibly can, and the likes of Aniplex, I don't. I won't say this is a bad thing, but they kind of their purpose for being is to further an agenda of making people think that Japanese goods are of higher value.
well, also too, don't forget that Aniplex of America is, isn't beholden to a parent company, Aniplex of Japan,
Right.
so they're kind of, also kind of being told what they have to do from, over there, whereas, so I mean, well, not the same Funimation, and they just can't release a show however they want. But they don't have, say, a parent company telling them, okay,
Well, yeah, that's exactly what I mean.
yeah,
Mm,
there. And two, Aniplex also doesn't get a lot of shows. They get a few shows every season. So the fact that they don't get, say, 10, they don't license 10 shows every,
right.
we don't get springtime and say, okay, sometime Funimation got 10. Aniplex America got 10, Viz got 2. We don't see that. Viz gets, or no, sorry, not Viz. Aniplex America gets a few. Mostly they're in-house stuff, although again, even
Right. And
that's not always the case because, Black Butler, that's an Aniplex show, but Funimation got it.
and even the biggest stuff they get, stuff like Kill la Kill or Monica Magica, it's still incredibly niche stuff. Like, I mean, they're household names for anime fans, but going outside of the niche, most people are just gonna give it a look it sideways, and keep walking.
I think it was a mistake for them to pick up the likes of Kill la Kill and Gurren Lagann because those could have had broad market sales, I think.
Well, too,
Gurren-
again, they tend to keep stuff that either like A1 or not A1 Pictures stuff that's like under Sony's branch of control, or not branch of control, under their what they own. They tend to get. So.
Well, yeah, everything they get is Sony owned, but it doesn't mean they get everything that's Sony owned.
Yeah,
Right.
I know, because they didn't get the third season of Black Butler. Funimation got that.
I think they try to make a decision of and keep the ones that that definitely have a loyal fan base, and they can they can sell it at higher prices, whereas the other shows that they kind of farm out may have either have broader market appeal at lower prices, or they just don't care about them and don't think that they're going to make money.
Well,
Right.
I mean, again, like I said, Aniplex America only gets a few shows every season, so
Right, and
the fact that they get fewer, they can, they're not trying to handle. Okay,
I feel like we're talking around each other, like we're both saying the same thing.
Just to get in the middle here, you pretty much are.
Yeah.
You're both saying the same thing in just a slightly different way.
Yeah, so I go look to them on that. I'm not getting it, so
Likewise, I'll definitely be passing, which is kind of a shame because I did enjoy Nisekoi, but well, what can you do?
But you already enjoyed it.
Yeah, no.
I never feel bad about shows that I've gotten a chance to see and I just can't buy the discs or refuse to because the prices are too high. I'm
some of
past
it's-
that phase of my life.
yeah, I'm not upset if I don't buy some, but some of it's just I don't like. I look at them like, yeah, I liked it, but I don't like have a desire to own it. Like, I watched it once, that's fine. Or it's a streaming, it's a title I can just, I'm fine just streaming it every so often, or I'm some titles are like that,
Definitely. All right, moving on. Not sure if you guys heard, but on August 6th, ANN reported that the Osaka Police Department's Consumer and Economic Crime Division searched Square Enix's headquarters and various locations linked to the publisher because of over 100 alleged cases of copyright infringement regarding the manga's High Score Girl. The endnotes of the compiled volumes contain a copyright notice that include SNK complete with a copyright mark, which implies that there was some form of consent, but SNK has said they didn't find out about this until an production company approached the company for permission to use their properties in an adaptation of the title, and they've asked repeatedly for a cease to the publication and a recall of the manga, but Square Enix never gave a matter. So their hand was forced, and they took on Article 119, Section 1 of the Copyright Law of Japan, which requires a company to press criminal charges to protect their brand. Since then, Square Enix has stopped production of the collected volumes, stopped production of any serialized version of it, and the only thing that's still kind of in the works right now is the anime series, which I have not heard any updates on at this point.
I want to be clear. They, when you say protecting their brand, that's trademark law. They're actually protecting the content of their published works.
That's what I mean. Sorry, I always get the two mixed up. But yeah, I just wanted to see what you guys thought about this, because it's an interesting case, one that you don't really hear about from such gigantic publishers. I mean, Square Enix and SNK are competitors in the gaming market, but I mean, this is like two completely different markets to kind of chase after. So I thought it was kind of interesting.
I think it's interesting in the sense that it's not really that this rarely happens. Like, you never hear about this sort of thing happening in Japan.
Exactly.
The copyright owners tend to grant extreme latitude to anybody who is using their work for parody, or even like the entire comiket slash doujinshi culture revolves around that lax enforcement. But in this case, you have two competitors, as you say, and SNK believes they have a strong case, and that the offense is wanton and willful.
And what's really interesting is that the stakes of this are incredibly high. Basically, for each knowing infringement of copyright, Square Enix could face a fine of up to 10 million yen in damages, and they're alleging over 100. And given the nature of Japanese criminal law, settlements are not offered. They're banned, but they are completely banned in the culture. Like not settlement, but like a plea bargain. So in that framework, Square Enix is actually going to have to go in and defend this in court.
Yeah, I don't really know how this works as a criminal offense, because typically at least, I mean, I only know how it works in the U.S.
Right.
To file a criminal complaint, you have to specify an individual person that you're making your complaint against.
Right. I'm not sure how it's being handled outside of that. Unfortunately, details on that matter are a bit sparse to English speakers.
And also, just, to some extent, reiterate what Matt said. I mean, look at the doujin market in Japan. I mean,
right.
The creators could go after them people.
Oh, definitely.
They don't. They don't, because to them that's free publicity.
Right.
That, hey, somebody's, even if it's, a pornographic, say, doujin of, say, I don't know, Kill la Kill.
I would say, given that it's pornographic.
Well, or even if it's not, but let's just say that for example, let's say a Kill la Kill, hentai doujin. People could say, oh, they should stop it because it's giving them, it's given name, but they look at it at the publishers in Japan look at it as, oh, free publicity. To them it's, oh, hey, they're making the stuff, they're getting the name out there. I mean,
true.
So, I mean, and here, if they try that, you want to see a doujin market in the U.S. I mean, it'll get shot down. I mean, I don't think I have to go over the cases where, Disney's have had, Walt Disney corporations had companies basically sued to oblivion just because they had certain characters drawn too close to what they look like.
They want don't forget.
That's definitely true. I would say our version of a doujin market is cover bands.
Yeah, I would say that's probably close. I don't know if they have that. They do cover bands in Japan, but yeah, I'd say that's our closest equivalency.
Yeah, it's pretty much any case where
or tribute bands.
The
even
cost of enforcement is is more than what you get out of it. You know.
Yeah, cover bands or tribute bands. Yeah, I'd say that's about the the equivalent here in the United States.
True.
I mean, but the fact that it is also two competitors in the same market, that does. That does make it interesting because it's not just okay. We're going after some just random person,
right.
random circle.
Right.
We're going after a competitor who we believe that has infringed on one of our something that they have a copyright for.
Right.
I'm not sure how it's going to play out. I probably see SNK Playmore going probably for the full. Probably with all the charges, I don't see them probably just going, well, we'll just do one and call it a day. I see them, unless I'm wrong, I see them probably going for the whole thing.
Oh, yeah, because there's definitely a bigger benefit in this for them. I mean, there's definitely a bigger secondary benefit in this in the fact that if they can they can tie up resources from Square Enix to defend all 100 plus counts. It's going to get very expensive, very lengthy, and it's going to be a risk. But if they win it, they can get their court fees back. So it wouldn't,
Yeah, it wouldn't be much of a loss then.
Oh,
exactly.
If you file criminal charges, you don't pay court fees.
True.
Because you're not the one prosecuting it.
True.
And you're also not the one getting the damage money.
Right.
But that said, like I said before, I don't know how it works in Japan.
Yeah, I don't. But I mean, it does.
But typically, if you involve the government, it's out of your hands.
Right. And I mean, the thing I do find interesting is the fact that there are no plea deals, so they are going to have to go to court on this no matter what, and it's going to be something that will more than likely be coming up in the news here and there as we get more details. Yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of fascinated by the fact that this is something where they're going there. Once a criminal charges are filed, there's no plea bargains. There's no negotiating out.
There's no plea bargains, so they have to defend their case.
They have to defend exactly.
It doesn't necessarily mean that they won't be able to defend all 100 cases at once.
Right.
A judge may decide to combine the cases, which is a fairly normal thing to do.
Right. Which is more than likely what's going to happen here. I mean, while it sucks for the creator in this case, it's one of those things where it's the poor guy was probably assuming the publisher was getting all the rights taken care of and all that, and now he's looking at having his career pretty much drop down the toilet because this is something where it's it's definitely a black mark. Your work gets pulled for infringing on copyright. That's not a good thing to say.
Yeah, that could be most likely career ending. I mean,
oh yeah.
I don't want to speculate on that because, for all we know, he could have been operating under the assumption that the company and their lawyers got permission.
That's actually exactly what I said. The poor guy, he probably had working under that very idea that the publisher would take care of everything on that end.
Well, I mean, it's also a speculation to assume that he was under that assumption.
True.
We just don't know.
We don't know. There are too many unknowns at this point, and I'm hoping that at least through the litigation process, we will see some actual details on it come up. Because this is going to be one that definitely will be interesting. And depending on how it goes, there will definitely be some implications, not only on the publishing of the title, but also on the company as a whole. Because if this is something where they do have to pay out at least a couple counts of 10 million in damages, I mean, that's a lot of money getting paid out in court at penalty.
Well, maybe the next time they won't, infringe on a competitor's.
Oh yeah, Oh
copyright
yeah.
then.
Oh yeah. I'm not saying. I mean, I'm not saying either side's guilty or innocent, but I mean,
Right, I'm not either.
it will be. I mean, and honestly, I've seen some of the stuff in this, and I've seen some of the actual artwork in High Score Girl, and it is pretty blatant. I mean, there's like direct images of like the King of Fighters logo. There's like Yuri, Ryo Sakurai. They do have all these characters in there, so it's like there's definitely some disconnect somewhere in that regard. So if it is found that they willfully infringed, it'll definitely be on them. All right, have you guys heard? Studio Ghibli's closing. They announced they're closing the animation department. They're going to stop making movies. Marnie killed studio. It's the end of an era. Everything's dying. Cats and dogs getting together. The sky is falling. All
Well,
right.
nobody lasts forever, so.
Oh, so that's how the pigs fly. The sky falls into them.
Exactly. I mean, they don't fly for long because then you get bacon. But anyway. All right, that was
bad, Mike.
Seriously,
I think you can move on from that.
I think we gotta keep going to Mike for making bad jokes.
Anyway, on August 3rd, pretty much the entirety of social media exploded from Twitter to Tumblr to Facebook to Pinterest to hell. I'm guessing there's even a couple of MySpace posts out there somewhere.
People still use MySpace?
Mostly musicians, but yeah. Anyway, people were spreading these like pictures, partial translations of a Studio Ghibli shareholder meeting. And in a lot of ways, it was like watching the Shadow Girls from Utena. Basically, you'd have that frantic, over-the-top reaction, the over drama. It was almost comedic at times to see people just go freaking out about how things went. But the real story is definitely not good news. Basically, Studio Ghibli co-founder Toshio Suzuki appeared on the TBS program Jonetsu Tairiku. I'm probably butchering the translation, but anyway. In which he discussed the future of Studio Ghibli. And in that, the full statement, as translated by Kotaku, is as follows. We're thinking about disbanding the production department and making a big change to the larger view of Studio Ghibli. Obviously, Miyazaki's retiring was quite significant. After that, what should Ghibli do? With that, continuing to endlessly create films like this is not impossible. But once, right about now, we'll take a short rest and think about what's next. Suzuki emphasized that the company was considering doing a round of housekeeping or basically restructuring, which would allow for a rebuilding of the studio to create a more viable environment for the next generation. It's definitely not good news. It definitely sounds like there is a dire undertone, but it definitely wasn't to the degree of, say, that absolute social media freak out with the staged Facebook post, memorial, stuff like that. So, anyway, I just want to kind of throw this one out there, see what your opinions on the matter were.
I mean, I'm not a big Ghibli fan. I'm not like gaga for the movies. I mean, I've seen a few I liked, but I'm not like, I don't put them as like a holy grail. To me, they're just another animation studio. Now the restructuring is interesting because I think in the past, in the 80s or maybe it was even the 90s, they did a lot of stuff freelance, or they used to use a lot of freelancers. And
Yep.
I mean, is that possible? They can go back to that? That's a possibility. I'm curious though to see what they decide to do. I mean, maybe they might still do movies. I mean, maybe they might even start doing TV shows, which I think would be kind of interesting given
Actually,
what
they are
Ghibli can
doing,
do. Though that might be sort of like a down step for them, considering they only just do movies and then start doing TV stuff.
Actually, they are doing a TV series in the fall.
Oh, really?
Goro Miyazaki is directing it. Here we go. It is Ronia the Robber.
Is it being produced by?
Yeah, it's being done. It's a co-production between Studio Ghibli and Polygon Pictures, being directed by Goro Miyazaki.
Huh.
So they are moving TV in some regard.
Well, Polygon Pictures, they mostly well, that's a 3D CG studio
Yeah.
because they just did well, everybody knows their most recent work, which is Knights of Sidonia, which for our listeners, if you haven't seen it, watch it. It's on Netflix. It's really, really good. And expect a review from me of that show in the near future.
So they make pictures with polygons in them.
Pretty much.
Nice, straightforward name.
Yeah. So they are definitely starting to push towards that diversifying a bit, it seems. Not to mention the fact that they have contributed animation to stuff like, say, Ni no Kuni, Curse of the White Witch, I think it is, on the PS3. Plus, as you said, they are attempting to make it a shift back to that whole freelancer model, since they actually didn't start hiring people full time until Porco Rosso back in. Do you remember the year, Matt? Was that
for Porco Rosso?
Yeah, that was mid '90s, wasn't it?
That sounds like it might be right, but I honestly don't remember.
Yeah, I believe mid '90s with Porco Rosso, and after that they started pulling more and more on for actual full time contract work.
1992.
All right, so early '90s.
I don't think this is a cost of labor problem, to be honest. I think this is a lack of leadership problem. As everybody's kind of letting it sink in that Miyazaki is, even if he never completely retires, he's definitely phasing himself out, and they just do not have anybody to replace him.
Right.
Right, because
not somebody who can sell feature films anyway.
Right.
Because we all know he's never going to retire. He says he retires and he comes back. I mean, Miyazaki, I'm going to say this is going to be kind of controversial. He's probably going to be doing this till the day his life ends. I mean, he's going to be, kind of still being there doing stuff. And I think, isn't he... Didn't they just announce he's doing some kind of short film or something?
I believe he is.
So, like I said, he doesn't really retire. He just takes breaks and then just comes back again. So, I mean, and how many times he said he's retired before? I mean...
several.
It's sort of like a completely different set. It's sort of like Hugh Hefner when he announced he gets engaged. It's like, okay, all right, I'll believe when I see him.
Yeah, exactly.
That was quite an amazing jump.
Well, I know that's. I mean, they're completely different ends of the spectrum, but that's like the first thing that popped in my mind because it's just like every time you hear, oh, Hugh Hefner's engaged again. It's like, okay, whatever. Let me know when he actually gets married. Oh, he's not getting married. Okay. Oh, he's engaged again. All right, let me know when he's getting married. Oh, he's not. And then it just keeps repeating itself. It's just the sort of same thing with Miyazaki. He never really retires. He just says he does, and then comes back a little bit later. It's like, well, I'm working again. It's like,
I think of somebody like Stephen King who says with practically every book he writes that he's done, and he just keeps writing.
Or like a professional wrestler retires, and then like a year or two later they're back.
Yeah, I mean, with professional wrestlers, I mean, even you still have Hulk Hogan trotting his wrinkly butt out into the ring once in a while.
Yeah, well, he lost. I know, probably lost a good bit of money in his divorces, and he keeps getting all the back surgeries.
That's another story, though.
Flair, he always keeps showing up on occasion.
Got to pay the staff of that McMansion.
But back on track now. Yeah, I'm not a huge Ghibli fan. I'm just kind of curious to see how they proceed in the future. Although I do sort of agree with Matt that it's not really a monetary issue, but there's more of a management issue.
Well, it is and it isn't a monetary issue. I mean, having a name like Miyazaki behind your film sells it.
Yeah, or even here like a Spielberg or Tarantino or Coppola. That does bring that does put something to your film. I mean, you have those like names behind it.
It has prestige, and and while they still do have Isao Takahata, his movies don't make nearly as much.
I'm not sure. Something like Graveyard of the Fireflies probably did well because that's a haunting and beautiful movie, and lots of people know about it.
Yeah, I've seen it 4 times, never again.
I'm honestly, I would not be and I don't know the data, but I would not be surprised if any of Takahata's movies after that made enough money to really, justify their cost. And especially like, okay, giving them the benefit of the doubt, maybe they did, but making a movie about Princess Kaguya and the bamboo cutter, which is just like it's just like a fable. Even Disney doesn't do stuff like that. Take an extremely short story and make an entire feature film about it and market it to, everywhere. I don't know. It seems like the very idea of the Princess Kaguya movie was a bad idea, and even if it's good, I haven't seen it myself. I would say that I am a big Ghibli fan, and I'm sad that we won't see a bunch of Hayao Miyazaki movies going forward. But it's the end of an era, and it had to end sometime.
Absolutely. I mean, it's definitely a time of transition. Like, and it doesn't help that the person that they were grooming to replace Miyazaki, died.
Yeah.
That,
Well, and
that
even looking back to some of the movies that weren't done by the two majors, like I think it was Yoshifumi Kondo that did Whisper of the Heart.
Yep.
And
that's a favorite of mine, actually.
And I remember reading something about Miyazaki considering him for maybe not as a successor, but to have a bigger role in the company. But then he up and died on them.
Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about.
And then Takahata's a great filmmaker, but he's also getting up there.
And unfortunately, Goro is nowhere near the level of talent of his father.
Yeah, that's why I'm kind of curious to how the TV series he's directing is going to turn out. If it's going to be good or if it's going to be garbage.
I think they could do well enough in television. It's a lower stakes game. The cost isn't as high, so they could probably make their money back.
Not only that, but it's not unprecedented. They have done TV before. I mean,
yeah. Umigaki Koru was a TV special.
Yep. Plus, I mean, Miyazaki himself he has a few notable TV series under his belt. Like, didn't he do some TV stuff?
He did before he did his movies.
He did Future Boy Conan,
and Sherlock Hound.
Yeah.
Two shows I've never seen.
Sherlock Hound, I've seen. Future Boy Conan, I haven't. Mostly because Future Boy Conan's like almost impossible to license in the West, which is a shame. But
yeah, wasn't that pre-Ghibli?
Yes, it was. 1978, I believe, and it was a collab between Takahata and Miyazaki and someone else.
Yeah, Keiji Hayakawa.
That's it.
Yeah, because it was Nippon Animation.
Yeah, and apparently the license is like impossible to get for it, so it's a shame. But anyway, moving back to topic.
Yeah, it's funny. I approached I first found Ghibli with Princess Mononoke, which was a quite astonishing movie for just based on I didn't have much exposure to anime at the time, and I didn't know that there was a film studio on the other side of the world with this level of quality. And so since then I've learned a lot about Japan and anime and Ghibli.
Likewise. I mean, funny enough, I was first introduced to Ghibli with Mononoke myself. Yeah, it's one of those things it amazed me that the studio could create something so rich, so gorgeous, so amazing, while telling a story that's just subtle, brilliant, and incredibly thought-provoking. It was a great film, and it inspired me to want to learn more.
Yeah.
I think my first Ghibli film. Oh my first Ghibli film was Grave of the Fireflies.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Yeah, and like I said, I've seen it 4 times. So
That's a tough one. It's a
Yeah.
tough pill to swallow, but it's a very good movie.
well, it's tough to
Mm.
swallow 4 times. So I mean,
Yeah, I didn't
Dude.
watch it 4 times.
No,
oh well, I had a very good reason. It was the first review I did for Anime Herald, and I chose a very different. I chose jumped right in the deep end on that one.
Ooh.
Yo, I am so sorry, dude. I mean, it's
Yeah,
a
hey,
wonderful. It's a wonderful.
Well, yeah, I don't have any desire to revisit that film.
That
No,
was
it's a
that was
wonderful-
Takahata's best movie. I wouldn't say it's my favorite though. I really liked My Neighbors the Yamadas. That's my favorite movie he did.
That was a lot of fun. I like My Neighbors the Yamadas.
I'm trying to think all what films I've seen from Ghibli. I mean, I know I've seen My Neighbor Totoro, which apparently my one coworker, her daughter, apparently I guess likes that film. Trying to think what else I've seen.
A lot
Yeah.
of people know about Totoro.
Yeah.
I'm so caught up on the fact that you watched Grave of the Fireflies 4 times. You're not a simpering mess.
Well, I'm
I
not
mean-
a mess. I'm not a mess. I have some. I have
I-
my own personal demons, but that's.
I mean, once in a lifetime is all I recommend to people on that one. It's a brilliant film, but it's one that will definitely stay with you.
Yeah, I think another. Well, actually, I can think about it. Somebody else said once another site. It was a website that I used to visit their forums. It was about B movies and such. And it was run by some Marine Corps sergeant. He would say about. He goes, "I recommend that nobody watches it more than twice, and do not." And he said, "And do not show it to pregnant women." So I'm looking at here. I have all their stuff that Ghibli's done. Okay, I've seen. Like I said, My Neighbor, Grave of the Fireflies, My Neighbor Totoro, Kiki's Delivery Service.
I really liked that movie.
I did too.
Whisper of the Heart, which I really liked.
That one is still my favorite.
Yeah. Let's see here. What else have I done? Seen
It's my
The
favorite.
Cat's Return.
That
I
one's
did see
kind of-
Ponyo, but I didn't like Ponyo, so I didn't care for that. I'm trying to think what else.
I have seen Castle Cagliostro. It's probably my favorite piece of Lupin animation.
And I seen Castle in the Sky, but I don't really remember much about that.
Well, you saw Nadia, so it's
Yes.
pretty darn similar to that.
Yeah.
You know, without the whole castle in the sky part.
Yeah, or people on the beach and some random random beach episodes, random beach island
Yeah.
episodes.
Random music videos.
Yeah.
No, I think that's part of the whole I think that's part of the Nadia story, that it was heavily influenced by, you know, not just the original material, the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, but also
Yeah, very loosely adapted
also
from it, might I
Lupita.
add.
Yeah. Cat Returns is a really fun movie. It's by far not one of the best that Ghibli has made, but I enjoy it every time I watch it.
Well, yeah, it doesn't have to be the best to be enjoyable. I mean, there's plenty of anime that are definitely not the best, but they're
Well,
fun.
I really like the what is his name? Yuji Nomi. He did the scores for both Whisper of the Heart and The Cat Returns, and I really love that music.
Yeah, Whisper in the Heart, I do remember because I actually watched it. Okay, so I'm going to kind of say how I actually first watched this. One day I was at work, they had me, when I was a help desk agent, they had us just, one day, some of us had to just monitor the chat rooms. But you were free to do what you wanted the rest of the time, as long as you're at your desk, so this was still pretty early when YouTube existed, and I just happened to watch the whole film on YouTube, kind of in parts, which was obviously not the best way to watch it, and but Whisper in the Hearts, I think, is probably my favorite of the Ghibli stuff that I've seen.
And I probably
But thinking
mentioned
about with
before-
music video, though, it's sort of in a way you can almost, if you want to really stretch it, Whisper in the Hearts sort of did, because didn't they sing that one John Denver song in there?
Yes, Country Road.
Yeah. Even though that wasn't really a music video, but
Or Take Me Home Country Roads, I think is
Yeah.
the name of the song.
so at least there was some singing in there. At least they just didn't make a music video out of it. Like Naughty had that episode he did.
I can take or leave the song, but I enjoyed the movie.
Yeah, I did too. Though I'm kind of the one thing with I don't think maybe not everybody knows this that My Neighbor Totoro has 2 dubs. The first dub is actually done by Troma Films.
Yes, it was. It was released. Wasn't that one released by Fox Kids or something like that?
Yeah, because they created a separate. Because for people who don't know, Troma Films is a B movie company up out of New York. They make a lot of very schlocky films.
Dude, B movie? No, they're like D- to F. I mean, they do stuff like Rabbit Grannies and Surf Nazis Must Die.
Yeah, but then they have our perennial classics like
Toxic Avenger.
Toxic Avenger and
Sergeant Kabuki Man, NYPD.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, that one. They have some good films in their collection.
So they have
I mean,
some
if they are
titles.
even if they are very kind of exploitive and very not very good at times, but they have some enjoyable ones.
It's the streamlined dub that's on the Disney release, right?
Yeah, because then they went back and got somebody read. I think they did another dub. I don't know. I guess it's a streamlined one because that one Totoro. I think that was only VHS.
I think so.
That one, because I haven't heard it myself. I actually, that's something I'm kind of interested in actually hearing how that one is, considering who did it. I mean, obviously it doesn't have the standard trauma, like things of it, so no one's getting beat up and like,
Decapitated.
no one's getting decapitated, and there's no like a whole bunch of profanity.
Yeah, I remember one of the annoyances about the DVD that Disney released for Totoro was that it had the Japanese subtitles were actually Masic dub titles.
Excellent.
Yep.
Then because I have that, or at least I had it, and I watched it, and well, at least that's interesting to know that.
Or I mean the English subtitles, excuse me.
Yeah, it is good to know on that one.
That's very interesting, because I didn't know about that.
Yeah, Totoro and I think Laputa had something like that too. They were not translations.
No, it was just a dub title. It was closed captioning.
Yeah, I know Kiki's Delivery Service had the subtitles weren't.
Oh, maybe Kiki was the one.
I know they had they changed some stuff in the dub, but it was mostly just like stuff like, oh, do you want to drink tea? And it's like something like, oh, you drink. Well, I think they were originally saying something about coffee, and
yeah, I remember liking the dub of Kiki's Delivery Service. Didn't it have? I think it had Minnie Driver and Phil Hartman.
Yeah, that was Phil Hartman's last role before he was sadly murdered.
Yeah,
which is still to this day bothers me.
Yeah, News Radio was a brilliant show. I really miss him.
Well, not from that. I remember him most from The Simpsons. The stuff The Simpsons.
Troy McClure and Lionel Hutz.
Yeah, I miss those. I miss those characters.
Definitely.
So yeah, TLDR, we collectively like, and some of us love Ghibli movies, and we're sad to see them shut down even for a short time, as it may be.
Definitely. All right, that's the show, everyone. Thanks as always for joining us, and remember to rate and subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, or Blueberry if that's what you follow. And until next time, I'm Mike Ferreira signing off.
I'm Matt Brown.
And I'm Anthony Simpson. Sayonara, bye-bye.
Have a great night, everybody.
All right, seriously, what the fuck is Stitcher?